This is Rhonda again, and I'm coming back from Mitchell Lake Audubon Center. I'm not at the same location that I was in our previous video, but I am at the same site. Before I was at Bird Pond. Now I'm sitting just outside the amphitheater next to their visitor center here at the center. And you can hear we do border a property, or share a property border with our neighbors, which is the San Antonio Police Academy. Again, they're at the firing range again today. I don't know how I keep managing to get out here on the days that they're at the range. But I want to give you today a brief overview of the curriculum design that I have kind of pulled together for our final assignment for this class. I am naming it Those Tremendous Trees, and it's kind of the overarching goal of the curriculum is to introduce students to ecosystem services, and specifically the benefits and the services provided by trees. 2 math lessons and 2 science lessons are what are covered within this curriculum. But I really could see that it could be expanded into other areas as well. Our first activity is one that I did in the previous video, and it's a math lesson, and I called it Canopy Coverage Calculators, where the students are armed with their gridded mirrors, and with the gridded mirrors they go out to specific survey points, and they hold the mirrors out, and they, with the grids on the mirror, they can calculate the fraction of the grid that is covered by the canopy, and then they convert that fraction into a percent, so that they know what the percentage of canopy cover is. The sites would be predetermined. They would be chosen specifically for different and varying amounts of canopy coverage. Then for the next lesson, go back to those same sites. It kind of builds on that first math lesson. It's going to be a science lesson though. The science lesson, let me refer back to my computer here so that I make sure that I don't forget anything. Science lesson, and I've named it Inquiring Minds Want to Know. Now, if that name doesn't let you know that we're going to be looking at scientific inquiry, well, it should, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the same survey sites with a little bit more of a focus. We're going to use the canopy coverage, and we're going to discuss the canopy coverage in class before we actually go back out into the field. And I want them to look at the canopy coverage, and I want them to make a few predictions before we go back out. I want them to make the predictions on how does the canopy coverage, or the percentage of canopy coverage, how does that affect soil moisture? How does that affect temperature of the site? And how does that affect wind speed of the site? And so they'll work in groups. They'll come up with their predictions on what they think that they'll see or find when we get back out into the field. And then we go back out into the field. I will arm each one of the students, or each group of students, with a handy dandy Kestrel. The Kestrel, actually cool little tool, measures temperature and it measures wind speed, and some of them actually measure humidity, as well as soil moisture meters. They happen to have these here at Mitchell Lake, so I can borrow them. I also kind of drafted up a nice little survey form so that they can kind of get a feel of what it is to collect data. As far as you have to take, before you even get started, the temperature, the wind speed, and the coverage of clouds before you even get started. And so this is just a simple little form that kind of gives them the feel for what it would be like as a scientist who is actually in the field collecting data. So they've made their predictions, they've gone out, they've collected their data, then they come back. The wind blew, my camera fell over, and you just went for a ride. So they have gone into the field. They've collected their data along with made their predictions, and now they get with their groups and stay with their groups, and they look at the data. They evaluate the data. Did it prove or did it disprove their predictions? So it really gives them a good feel for the scientific inquiry. And then they need to present their findings to the class. Since they'll be working in groups of 4, it shouldn't be too intimidating. Now, my third activity for this unit of study is something that I call the making of a naturalist. Now, the making of the naturalist is really it's going to have a more casual feel than doing a scientific inquiry based study while they're out here. I've picked another spot. The spot where I'm sitting at would actually be my choice for spots, and we're going to survey all the biotic species here within a survey area, and I figure probably a fairly small survey area. Just kind of walk through. I would be the one that would guide it. We would have all of our field guides out here, and we would take a look at the different species, whether we find a roly-poly, whether we find the birds that are flying overhead or possibly nesting in one of the trees, to the herbaceous plants that are growing out here. But I think just do it very, very casually, allowing them informal questions and discussions, but with me keeping a focus on making sure that we survey all of the tree species out here, because we would want to use that on our final activity. So it would really kind of give them a casual feel for a naturalist. I wanted to introduce a mobile technology that they can use in the field. It's called iNaturalist. It's a technology that I have used on many occasions, and I would even give the students the opportunity to use iNaturalist to record their observations or use a field journal. I would leave that up to them. We are dealing with students now that are extremely tech savvy, and I think that by not tapping into some of these technologies, we're really closing the doors or shutting them out. We need to meet them on their level, and the technology's out there. It's amazing. It gives them actually even a really global perspective. This is a screenshot from my personal iNaturalist account. I took this photo, I uploaded it this summer, and you can actually, it marks your spot along with your photo, and then it will allows you to participate in citizen science as well as professional projects. It makes you feel like you really are participating in something, and your observations are affecting things on a larger scale than just what you're doing locally. Now, my final activity for this unit study is in math. It's my second math lesson. Not really calling it anything, but we're actually going to use the data that we've gathered during our making of the naturalist activity, and it's really going to be looking at the tree species. And what we're going to do is we're going to do teach them how to do fine diameter breast height by using a regular household tape measure, measuring the circumference of the tree, allowing them to do that conversion using the circumference formula to find the diameter at breast height. And then, armed with the knowledge that they know what the tree species are, when we get back to class, we will get onto the computer as a class, and it's a website. It's called treebenefits.com. We will use their tree benefits calculator, and if you know the species and the diameter breast height, you can actually come up with a dollar amount for the value that tree benefits the owner or the property owner. And it looks at carbon, it looks at stormwater runoff, it looks at several different factors to come up with that dollar amount. And I think that's significant. I think that especially in the world that we live in today, a lot of people measure value by money. We can tap into that as well. Now, the kind of culmination activity for this unit study, it tags along with this, and it kind of brings the entire, as far as these tremendous trees, it brings the whole unit study into a close and kind of makes it personal for them. They know how to identify tree species now. They know how to find diameter breast height, and so their final assignment would be to take that knowledge that we've learned in the field, take it to their home or to their neighborhood. I would have them do a survey of trees in their own yard. They would find the diameter breast height. They would, if they didn't know the tree species, which they might not remember them, then they would take a picture of it, bring it back to class, and I would help them identify it. Then once they've got the diameter breast height and the species of the tree, they take it back home. They log on to treebenefits.com and they find the value of the trees that are in their own yard and in their own neighborhood. I really think that makes it personal. These trees affect me. These trees affect my family, and I think that's a powerful message, and I think that's a lasting message. So that is my unit study, the curriculum that I have designed for this class. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I thank you for watching my video, and well, until next semester and next class.